Hello, friends. Still off in New York, but I wanted to take a moment to record a quick video, or actually a live session, about California's new rent control, rent cap, AB 1482. I've had some time to think about this now, and I want to kind of run through my logic with you to really help answer probably the biggest question out there that a lot of you have is who's really going to be impacted by this new rent cap and rent control? And your knee-jerk reaction is, the legislatures were going after landlords, and landlords are going to be impacted. My knee-jerk reaction is that tenants were going to suffer. But what I thought I would do is really break this down. And actually, what I found is the person that will often be most impacted was a surprise. So I thought I'd walk through my logic first, get to that, and then I want you to tell me what you think, right? Who do you think is going to be impacted the most? Leave a comment below. Is it the landlord? Is it the tenant? Is it someone else? And I'd love to hear for you. So if you're watching these, I've recorded a couple on this rent control topic. Leave a like or a thumbs up, comment, and of course, please subscribe. Would really help the channel. So let's walk through my logic. And really, I'm going to break this down into first single family homes and then multifamily, which AB 1482 calls apartments, multi-residential dwellings. And then we'll break it down further from there. So first off, it clearly looks like AB 1482 or 1482, or I'm not really sure how they're saying it, this rent control, California rent control, rent cap, is targeting multifamilies, right? If you look at single family homes, they are exceptions, except there's like an exception to the exception. If you're one of these big conglomerates who came in and bought thousands of homes during the crash, they want to go after you, right? So when you look at single family homes, I don't know what the percentage is, but let's say the majority of single family home landlords are excluded. If you happen to be one of the big boys that is clearly in line of sight from legislature, my guess is you haven't been active buyers in a long time, and frankly, everything I've seen from you is you are net sellers and looking to liquidate, and this could spark more selling. You're like, hey, we'll take our chips off the table, we're gone. So we may see uh, single family home inventory of rentals go down. I don't think it'll be significant. It might be 3 to 5%. I just don't know how many units these larger entities own. But in the single family home area, where I think there will be impact, is there'll be less supply. I think over the course of the next 12 to 18 months, as this kind of ripples through, I think single family homes may see a drop of 3 to 5% in available inventory. So that will obviously hurt tenants because you're going to be having big players take chips off the table and go to other markets that are more landlord friendly. I don't think that's a huge impact in the grand scheme of things, but as far as single family homes go, I wanted to tackle that topic and move on because I think we can put single family homes on the side. Now, if we go to multifamily, I think there are some surprising options, right? First and foremost, when you look at the 5% cap plus inflation, who does that impact? Well, if you break that down, there's really two classes of landlords, right? Operators. So think about this, right? If you are an operator that's been running, your mom and pop, and you probably have your rents within 5% of the actual lease rate if you are an active operator, right? If you've probably been an operator for less than 5 years, maybe 7 years, you keep your rents pretty close, right? Because you paid significant for those properties. Um, where you have some downfall is if you've been an operator for a decade or more, right? You're the classic mom and pop who keeps your rental rates, your lease rates hundreds of dollars below market because you want to be less bothersome. You want to take care of your tenants, right? Whatever that kind of excuse you tell yourself, um, those are the kinds of two operators that I see. But okay, so this AB 1482 gets approved, signed in the law, or whatever they're calling it. What happens? What changes? I don't think much changes, right? If you're the operator that's always been hundreds of dollars below market, you're not going to immediately wake up tomorrow and jack up your rents, right? You're doing that for some intended reason. And I don't think that impacts you, right? I think you probably would have raised your rents 5% or less anyway. And likelihood is probably zero. So this doesn't impact you at all. Where this does impact is on the other side out of the gate. What I'm hearing from landlords, and frankly, I feel myself, is historically speaking, I used to go 2 years before raising rents, especially for tenants who paid on time, for 11 or 12 months of the full year. I would give them a break 1 year and then raise it at the 24-month mark. What the legislatures are saying now is, nope, sorry, if you're an operator, you have to raise rents every year or you lose it, right? It's kind of a do it or don't kind of scenario. You don't make it up in the future, right? You can't go from 5% to 10% at year two because you didn't do year one. So my feeling is, just for general operations, the tenants or the landlords that were always running hundreds of dollars below market, I don't see any impact because they were doing that on purpose. If you're an operator who has close to market rents, I believe the legislature just told you, thou shalt raise rents. Excuse me, that's the problem of doing live sessions. Thou shalt raise rents every year. So I think in that aspect, the operators will be impacted a little bit because they have to raise rents every year, and obviously tenants are going to be impacted. So I think just from operations, the impact falls heavily on operators near market and the tenants that rent those. So I think tenants should get prepared for yearly raises, where historically maybe it was every other year, and I think that's unfortunate. But now let's go to the big one, right? Where I see the biggest gotcha or catch in all of this is at asset disposition, right? When a seller or a landlord or an operator goes, hey, I don't want this anymore, or maybe they pass on and they give it to their heirs and they don't want it. But I see the biggest impact in um, with AB 1482 or this rent control is at time of sale. So play this out with me, right? If you're an operator and um, your rents are at market or slightly under, meaning within that 5% barrier, uh, your value is pretty well understood by the market, and I don't think is impacted by rent control, right? Because when you take over a property, you'll have some work. You can run the calculations and cap rates and gross rent multipliers or whatever your valuation of choice is. But what you don't have is, um, or what is the ability where you can raise rents, right? So I think the operators who are looking to sell that have been running close to market are fine. Here's the one that I didn't catch until this morning. If you are an operator, right, as we talked about earlier, and you've been running with hundreds of dollars below market, and you're doing that on purpose, and then you have to sell, you have inadvertently lowered the value of your property. Where historically speaking, somebody might come in and offer you near market value for it, you're not going to have the ability to get it because your rent calculations, right? The value of the asset is the income it produces. So if you are a seller of an asset that is hundreds of dollars under market, you have inadvertently reduced the value of your property, right? If you have a 10-unit building that's hundreds of dollars under market versus a 10-unit building at market, you have inadvertently hurt yourself. So the surprise to me is the person that will likely be most impacted by rent control or this rent cap are sellers of value add multi units. They're taking tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars off the table because when the new operator comes in, they are going to be hamstrung at where they can take rents. Now, I suspect there will be some that come in and do the calculation of, hey, if I come in and I remove folks, not only do I have to do 60-day notices, but I have to pay a month of rent for moving expenses, essentially, right? So there are some people that will come in there, but the biggest drag in all of this, in my opinion, is twofold. First, at point of disposition, the value add apartments, multifamily, even down to duplexes, if you are running below market, the value of your property is less. It's just that simple. So you're gonna see the biggest impact. I think you may lose 50, 100, hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on how many units you're selling. So if you are an operator who has historically been running hundreds of dollars under market on purpose, you might want to look yourself in the mirror and say, I need to fix that. Because when you look to sell, and we all sell eventually, um, your value is going to be tied to that. Then the other one is in daily operations, right? What we talked about earlier. Um, The ones that are running under market, you're not going to do anything anyway because of this, but it's the ones that are running near market. The legislatures have said raise rents every year, so they're going to be. So those are the two people that I think get impacted. Daily operators, it's going to be the people running near market. We're going to be raising rents every year now as opposed to every other year. And then at point of disposition, it's going to be the people who are selling value add multi-units that have below market rents. You are going to see hundreds of thousands of dollars of equity vanish because your asset, regardless of doors, is worth less because of rent control and rent caps. So that's what I think. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. Who do you think is going to be impacted the most by rent control or this rent cap, this AB 1482? Love to hear from you. Take care from New York. Bye.